Hi, I'm Brandi Kellett. Welcome to Expand Your Us. This is the essay that I will read from the end of September, and it continues a series called Don't Give Up. It's geared toward helping us find resiliency, stamina, and hope in at least two areas of our communal life. One, to keep pursuing wellness, creativity, and compassion for others as COVID drags on. And then two, to stay present, leaning into the stories of the toll our racialized society takes. Don't give up, but keep learning about the lives others lead, actively rejecting any position that upholds a dangerous and hierarchical status quo. So last week, I recounted an incident I witnessed earlier this month when a couple's aggressive public commitment to white supremacy scared me. You can see my last essay as I dig into the deep toll such moments take on people of color, and indeed on all of us. When we live in communities where belligerent white supremacy runs rampant, we live in communities struggling against terror. This week, though, I will speak mostly to a white audience, and I hope to help us consider how we might respond to such active racism. So in short, when we see displays of racism in others, many of us let ourselves off the hook by comparison. It is easy to see a couple like I saw the other week and sigh, resting in the fact that they are what racism looks like, and you, thankfully, actually nothing like them. This is dangerous, though, because we can't confront or repent of that which we choose to ignore. If we don't acknowledge our own subtle racial biases, we can't strip them of power, and we can't free ourselves from their grip. White supremacy takes many forms, and I urge us all to do the work of recognizing the form it takes in us. In May and June, we experienced a collective awakening as we recognized that as individuals and as institutions, we're biased to doubt and fear the presence of brown bodies. We saw that when all of us, police included, don't confront the evil in our history, that evil is more likely to thrive inside us, giving us bias against folks of color that we barely even recognize. We saw that we are more likely to trust whiteness, dismissing bad actors among us, while we chronically mistrust the presence of Black bodies, applying stereotypes that undermine their humanity. If we hope to re-seize the moment of cohesion that we're losing and maybe have already lost, we have to make it good and normal to notice our secret racialized judgments, to confess them, and to reteach ourselves to think about or to reject any thinking based on white supremacy. Further, when our executive branch threatens to defund any agency, school, or department that implements training in bias, in clarifying our history of hate, in teaching the way that white supremacy impacts communities, we should reject that executive branch. Here's the thing, though. Just like it's easy to absolve ourselves and instead blame the Kroger couple for their issues with race, it's also easy to live unexamined lives while we complain about what our government is or is not doing, especially in an election year. By all accounts, our president believes a comprehensive view of American history is unpatriotic, and that training in bias or racialized assumption making is a threat to America's safety. Don't look there. Instead, if we want to stay the course, we need to look within. Stay local, doing your own crash course in American history. Stay local, observing your possible tendency to make assumptions about others based on their outward appearance. Stay local, noticing when you let a joke or coded language stand unchallenged in your hearing. Stay local, recognizing when you equate whiteness with safety, especially when it comes to your kids. Stay local, observing who you trust, learn from, or talk with about the polarized state of our country. Stay local, paying attention to what you will bring up in certain friend groups. Stay local, noticing who you are willing to forgive and who you are likely to ignore. One day last week, I went on a long run in the country roads near my childhood home. A few miles out, I took a side road I had never before taken, and I was stunned by the beauty. The road curved over gentle hills, trees nearly touching overhead. Realizing I was on a stretch of road that was stubbornly and consistently uphill, I decided it was time to turn back. As I ran back toward what was familiar to me, I started laughing. There was a massive cow staring at me behind a barbed wire fence enclosing a field. I thought I had been paying attention when I initially ran by. In fact, I was intentionally looking around, trying to take it all in, because that's how my dad taught me to run. But there was a big fat cow, and I had totally missed it. It got worse as I got closer. The big fat cow was surrounded by many other less fat cows. I'm ashamed to admit that there were even little baby fat cows frolicking near a pond in the dappled sunlight. We have to train ourselves to pay attention. For many of us, we live in a kind, generous world built on white supremacy. Once we discover it, we can either pretend it's not there, or we can get angry at whoever else sees it, or we can humbly say, wow, a cow. How on earth did I miss that? We have nothing to lose and everything to gain if we stop our fixation on violent racists or violent rioters and instead find the cows in our own backyard. Pay attention to your life, your thoughts, your friends, your habits. Pay attention to your police department, court fines, and the sheriff's office. Pay attention to your child's history curriculum and your family's past or present acquisition of wealth or land. There is so much to learn, so much to repent of, and so many connections to be made. There's so much healing to be done. Don't give up. Simply pay attention. Thanks so much for listening.